Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, New Year, More Electron Portfolio News. First of all, let me thank you all for being here today. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Dario Vitali. I'm the Sales Director of Eelectron, responsible for the coordination of the global commercial activities. I'm here today with my colleague Paolo Segu, Product Specialist and KNX Evangelist, to talk about the panorama of novelties and innovations recently developed by Eelectron. This talk is divided into three main parts. To start with, I'd like to look at our story and facts, describing our long-term vision and daily commitment. Secondly, we will be talking about the new products and enhancements, the main topic of the webinar. Finally, we will be looking at our initiatives, describing the marketing tools, the calendar, and the Q&A session with the final feedback that I kindly ask you to interact with. For those of you who are not familiar with our history, Eelectron is a family company founded in 1994, based in Italy, in North Italy, in Legnano. Our focus is related to product and applications with Italian designs. We have global presence with offices in Asia Pacific, China, Middle East, and Europe, and we are a KNX member since 2005. We have a certified KNX training center, and we are a technical board member. The continuous product evolution, design customization enables the big data generation and mobile applications. We have a specialization in guest room management systems. We are controlling more than 35,000 hotel rooms in hotel and residential condominiums. We have installations in more than 80 countries, and the products are 100% tested in our factory. The devices comply with the KNX worldwide certification standard. We are a pioneer of developing and evolving our KNX stack expanding solution since 2016 with the Bluetooth, IoT devices application, and now DALI. Let's now turn to our product portfolio. The continuous product evolution and big data generation starts with the modular building automation array of products dedicated to HVAC, lighting, blinds control, and other mixable applications with unique aspects such as the SD card option, compact interfaces, I/O compact universal modules, circadian cycle control. Moreover, the user experience is enhanced by the design and functionality of 3025, 9025, and Eelectra family of user interfaces dedicated to a customizable experience, offering added values such as the air quality and environment monitoring and access control with advanced readers and numeric keypads. Finally, the evolution continues with the innovation of the bridge, extensively explained in this webinar, in addition to the design awarded multi-sensor and custom touch panels. I'd like now to move on the key benefits of the Eelectron portfolio solutions focus on energy efficiency and sustainability, with a particular attention to the occupants and building operators' user experience. The wired and wireless connected room automation generates the big data finalized to the analysis of the digital applications, resulting in a significant contribution of Eelectron to the smart buildings. Here now is Paolo, our product specialist and KNX evangelist, to talk about the panorama of novelties and innovations. See you later in the What's Next session. Thank you.
Welcome. My name is Paolo, and today will be my pleasure to introduce you to our new products. The first one that I want to show you is called the bridge. What is a bridge? When we talk about bridge, we talk about a platform versus a device, because we have a lot of idea about this platform to make it growing in the next future. And the bridge act as all-in-one application, because it's a combination of two distinct devices, system components. One is an IP interface, and the second one is a KNX power supply. Next to the standard features that we have in these system components, we have also some diagnostic features. So when we talk about a bridge, we are talking about something that makes the connection between the digital IP world and the classical KNX network. Let's go deeper about the bridge and see what it is. Mainly, the bridge is a direct connection between the IP network and the classical TP, the twisted pair KNX network. As I told you before, it's included KNX power supply. Not only KNX power supply, but it also provides an auxiliary power supply. We report here that we can provide 640 milliamps of total current. And often happens for the KNX power supply, you have to take into account that is the total amount of current that can be driven on KNX power supply and auxiliary power supply. Has reduced size because it is only 14 modules range. Why you have to choose the bridge? First of all, because it's an enabler for a digital solution with all the function that I will show you later. about IP level, because it's a power supply plus an IP interface, and this means that you can reduce installing just one device, the engineering times, and probably you can also reduce the cost of your installation. And the small size fit exactly and perfectly in a small distribution board that today are installed. Let's see the features on TP side. We have the well-known logical blocks. I say well-known because it's a well-appreciated library for the logical function. Logical functions that are AND or XOR, so standard logical blocks. For this feature, we are used to provide logical blocks with standard 2 inputs and 1 output as a result of the combination of the logic. But we have something more complex. We call that complex expression, are algebraic and conditional operators, like the ternary operators. Ternary operators is the standard we can compare to the if then else condition. So if something happens, we would do something. Otherwise, we do something different. Predefined algorithms. On board, we have no complete real thermostat, but we have what we call smart thermostat. So are a logic and communication object that make it possible to control a fan coil or a valve. To have a smart thermostat, so something that can anyway reach the set point requested by the end user. We have also the capability to make a calculation for the dew point or set threshold. Threshold comparison means that we can set values for threshold and trigger an event if the threshold is reached. We can schedule events for the week. And the first idea is to program some events to switch on and off lights during the day, or to reset set points to adjust the temperature to increase the comfort of our rooms. The device is capable to contact an NTP server, that is a day and time server. So even if we have no real-time clock on board, as soon as he can reach the internet connection, he will be able to get and stay up to date and time. Built-in Eelectron Hospitality Virtual Holder application. This is a pure software application. The virtual holder has been designed to make it possible to remove from the hotel room a standard card holder. The card holder is used to understand if the guest is in the room or the housekeeper. So with this application, we can remove the conventional card holder, and with at least a couple of hardware features like the door contact and a presence detector, we can discriminate if someone is in the room. Last but not least, the bridge is capable, due to its IP interface capability, to publish what happens on TP network. So we can transmit telegrams from TP to IP and vice versa. We say publish because we will see later that we have more capability about KNX telegrams. Now have a look at IP side of the device. I already told you that he behaves as standard IP interface, so you can use this device to make the commissioning of KNX devices installed on the TP trunk, and you can make diagnostic monitoring, everything you can do with a standard IP interface. On the IP level, we can also report some diagnostic features. For example, we can detect how many times we have a power or a voltage loss. We can store this information on a counter, and as soon as the device comes back online, we can grab this information at IP level. This is very important if you want to make some analysis, or if you want to keep always your system online and to understand if something is going wrong. We can also monitor the voltage on the KNX bus, not only on KNX bus, but also on the auxiliary power supply. We have an over voltage, or more interesting, over current. So we can act in advance if devices are driven too much current from KNX bus, and so probably this will bring to a failure on the KNX network. So we can send alarms over IP to the BMS to prevent this kind of malfunctions. Very nice features. I like this feature very much because it's the capability of the device to monitor the device that has been installed on the TP trunk if they are online or offline. What does it mean online, offline? The device, we can set, according to some parameters, we can define the surveillance period for a single device, so we can create a kind of priority. And the device is capable to understand if the other KNX devices installed on the TP trunk are online or offline. Again, knowing that the device goes offline is very important in building installation to prevent malfunction of the entire solution and the system. IP-centric. When we talk about KNX installation, we are used to think about decentralized installation, because this one is one of the key benefits of a KNX installation. But when we start designing the bridge, we thought that we can have a device capable to develop installation with the idea of room or set of rooms isolation. What does it mean then? With the bridge, we can create a small KNX network, very powerful in terms of not hacking, because the room or set of rooms is isolated by the other KNX network. This doesn't mean that if someone wants to try to hack the system and to do malicious things on KNX network, it will be capable to operate only on the subset of devices installed on the TP trunk managed by the bridge. This is very, very important. For sure, on the top of this kind of solution, room isolation, we need a BMS capable to manage what is called a tunneling connection, because the BMS has to be capable to manage many connections, one for each bridge, and will be also the BMS that will route telegrams that has to be dispatched from different set of rooms. But as you can see, we have one bridge, and here in our example, we report a set of rooms, so about 3 rooms are managed completely. I suppose that is the designer that has to make the right choice and make a balance between the number of rooms to be controlled by one bridge. Inside the KNX network, we have a standard installation, could be daisy chain or star, and we have again a distributed installation of devices like actuator, presence detector, capacitive switch, as reported in the picture. See the advantages of this kind of room isolation installation. Have a look at a business case like could be the hotel installation of a room. Here we report what could be a minimum set of components required to drive a room. Starting from the top, we have the room controller to adjust the temperature of the room, and it has to be used by the guest as user interface to arrange the temperature desired. Moving below, on the left, we have a binary actuator to drive normal loads like lights or blind shutters. On the right, on the top, we have the presence detector. Remember, our presence detector that we are using to call multi-sensor because it's really full of features could be used for our virtual holder logic. So to detect if someone is in the room and start all the function of the room. At the lower level, we have the TC57, that is our fan coil controller unit to drive the fan coil. So we can say that this is a standard setup for an hotel room. But probably in our installation, we have to install the bridge to make it possible to make the dialogue of this room with the BMS to report the information and to send commands to the room to know the status and collect data. And now what happens in an hotel, probably we have more than one room similar to another. So we can have a set of typical rooms. And what we have to do, usually we are using to make copy and paste of our ETS project and create the rooms as required, rooms of the similar or equal type. And now we can say, using the bridge and the tunneling technology, we can say that we don't have to copy and paste the ETS project. We have only and simply to make the commissioning for all the other rooms with the same project that we did for the first room. Will be, as I told you before, will be the BMS that will be capable to connect to the right room, looking at the endpoint of the bridge. Remember that on the top here we have an IP connection, Ethernet connection. So the bridge is identified on the Ethernet network by an IP address, and will be this endpoint, the IP address of every bridge, that will make it possible to uniquely identify the room that we want to contact, to send the commands or to know the status, because also status will be reported on Ethernet level, and the BMS according to the transmitter, so the IP address that will transmit information, we know exactly at which room we are referring. This is the first advantage. So reducing the engineering time for the ETS project. The second one, if we say we are talking about typical room set, if we have a room and we have a damage into the room, probably we have to replace damaged devices. And with the traditional way to design hotel installation. We have to bring a device from the box. We have to use ETS to make the commissioning of the device according to the program that has been used for that special room. But we can say that all the rooms are equal each other, so we can keep from our stock one device pre-programmed according to the type of the room and simply remove the old one damage from the room, plug the new one, and nothing else to be done. You don't need an ETS specialist for the maintenance to replace the damaged devices, but the standard maintenance guy capable to unplug and capable to replace and make the room again online, reducing the time that the room will be offline and not solvable. In case we have no parts in our stock, theoretically we can also remove one device, maybe an already offline room for other reasons, and put in the room damage. So we can also keep devices from other rooms and bring to the new rooms, and everything will work exactly. You can imagine that this reduces a lot the operating downturn of a room, because each device has been programmed in the same way with the same group addresses. More solution, probably also mixed solution, because in the past we are used to manage, or we can say we can also design a KNX solution for a building in a conventional way, where we have at floor level. Here we are representing the standard floor level installation. We have the power supply plus the IP router to bring anyway the information at a higher level to IP level. And then we have some conventional line coupler, TP, twisted pair to twisted pair line coupler. This is what can be designed for even for big building. Today, what we would like to propose is to think about using the bridge for a single room, if it's possible, to really create this kind of room isolation, or in case you have to balance with the cost of the installation and so on, a set of rooms, so the bridge manage more than one rooms, but anyway, rooms that will be isolated by the others. And of course, we can have a mix of both ideas. So we can have some bridge and some line couplers behind the bridge to extend the TP trunk. I told you at the beginning that the power supply of the bridge is about 640 milliamps. In case you need to extend this TP trunk, you are allowed to use standard line coupler, TP line coupler with new power supply to extend the TP trunk. Okay, now we leave the bridge and we talk about a new HVAC module that is going to be part of our range of HVAC modules. Let's have a recap of what is already present in our portfolio. Starting from the top, we have the TC17 and TC57A version. These are fan coil controller, or they can also act as a fan coil actuator. Most important feature of this kind of actuator is the capability to drive analog outputs for modulating valve or continuous fan coil speed motors. Moving a bit lower, we have the HA88. This device is a mixed solution because this controller is made with standard relay and with triac components. The benefits to use triac components is to reduce the noise, because when we talk about comfort for HVAC, we are used to think about the comfort for about warm or refreshing the rooms, but comfort could be also to not produce noise when we make the commutation. And we lived a mixed solution with the H888, and we have also the HA04 and HA08. That it's a pure, these devices are pure triac devices. On the lower part, we have the valve actuator, the VD21, and our binary analog modules, the interface, the AD84, capable to grab binary inputs, information, but also analog inputs to be connected to NTC probe and to drive thermostat on board. But we have to focus on the new one that is called TC57B. As you can imagine, the TC57B inherits all the function of the TC57A version, but we are used to listen to the feedback of our customer and what is also appears on the market. And when we designed the first time the TC57A, we thought that 3 analog outputs should be enough to drive standard configuration. Unfortunately, and listen to the feedback of our customer, we understood that a fourth analog output will be required to make it very powerful. And so this is what happens. And now let's talk a little bit deeper about this device. As you can see here in the top part, we have the analog output, but I would like to start from the lower part of the device, where we have binary inputs. We have up to 5 binary inputs. 3 of them are pure binary inputs and could be connected, for example, to a window contact. You know, the standard application for the fan coil controller assume that in case you open the window, you have to move the controlling mode from comfort to standby or economy to prevent energy saving. So this is a very typical application to use the binary input for the Windows contact. The other 2 inputs, this one, can be also programmed as analog input to connect NTC probes. The NTC probes is capable to report a temperature to the system. Remember that we on board of the TP57 range, we have thermostat. So we need to know the temperature to understand if we have to start something to reach that temperature. On the top, we have the analog output. The first 2 here on the terminals are pure analog outputs, so can be used only to drive output 0 to 10 voltage. For example, to drive a variable speed fan. So we can use one output to drive the variable speed fan, for example. 3rd and 4th analog output can be also configured as analog input 0 to 10 voltage analog input for port 20 milliamps. But here in our example, we are using to drive 6-way valves, for example, heating and cooling valves. And the 4th one will be used for the damper, for recycling. It's a real case. And we had in the past an installation with our multi-sensor with smart probe, where you know that the smart probe is capable to detect the CO2 level in a room. So again, it's possible to impose some threshold, and if the threshold is reached, we can open the damper to make the recycling of the air of the room. So this is what happened, and this is a real case that we have experienced. We say that we have onboard flexible I/O configuration, because when we say that we have 4 analog outputs, we have to say that are really configurable. So we can use the 4 analog output as a pure output, or we can also imagine to use just 2 outputs, 2 of the terminals as outputs, and 2 other as inputs, as a feedback to know exactly if the command has been driven well or not. Close the loop, we say. Don't miss that on board we have also 3 binary outputs, 16 amps relay. And I think that is very important. TC57B inherit the function of TC57A. So for the installer, it's important to know that he has not to learn from the scratch everything about this new controller, because most of the features comes from the A version. So he has to know a little bit more, but not so much, to make it online immediately. About the flexible I/O configuration, we would like also to suggest an application with one device. We can control up to 2 zones. We can make the thermoregulation up to zone, because we have here on the lower part, in our example, we connect 2 NTC probe, 1 for each zone, so we can report the information about actual temperature of the room inside the device. We can use some binary inputs, for example, for the Windows contact to prevent energy, to set the system in energy saving mode. But on the top, this is the most important part, because now we have 4 analog outputs. And so here we show that we can drive 1 valve and 1 fan coil in continuous mode for the first zone, and a second valve and a second fan coil for the second zone. They are reported in this table on the right. So with one device, you can imagine that in big installation, you can reduce installed devices. That means reduce engineering times, reduce the cost of the complete installation, and reducing also the number of devices. You can reduce the fault that you can have in your installation. Now let's move to new devices that will be part of our F-series binary input module. In this range, today we have only the 16 inputs module, and now we are proud to present also the 4-channel inputs and 8-channel input module. Let's have a look at the main features of these new devices. The first one is that compared to the B16, These devices are powered only by the KNX power supply, so they don't need the 230 voltage to work. We have 4 or 8 digital inputs that can be configured for long distance or short distance. And this kind of configuration is to reduce the amount of energy current that will be driven by the KNX bus. They are small devices because just for DIN modules. Nice feature about terminals, because here we have removable terminals. As for the other devices, we have built in the logic library, as I told you before, with NOT, AND, XOR, and so on modules. We have the heartbeat function that is complementary to what can be done by the bridge to know that the device is online or offline. And when we talk about binary input, we have to say that we can also connect to this device analog input, so the NTC sensor, our probe. On board, we have up to 4 thermostats, so we can drive for different zones with one device. This is very powerful. And as I show you in this slide, so typically we use the binary inputs for conventional presence detector, Windows contact, or simple conventional switch. But we can also connect our smart probe. To recap you, our smart probe are probe capable to detect CO2 values in rooms or VOC. So it's equipped with VOC sensor, and the SM03E02 will report also the equivalent CO2 because it's a value calculated and not a pure value detected by the sensor. But this is a powerful feature. So when we think about new devices coming in the range of binary inputs, please don't stop to think about binary inputs, but remember how the devices are so powerful. Here we show the NTC probes, small probe, but remember that today we have also in the family fitting of 1925 the NTC probe. So is the same like this one, but with a nice pinning and probably better installable in rooms directly on the wall, easier. So for the 4-channel, we can have maximum 4 NTC connected. With the 8-channel, again, we have only 4 of the 8-channel can be converted into analog input to be connected to NTC probes. That's all from me. Now it will be my pleasure to give the floor again to Dario for the conclusion.
Thank you, Paolo. Now let's talk about something very important that everybody is waiting for, the product availability. Let's start from the bridge that will be available on request from May 2022. The binary input modules will be available from May 2022, and the fine call controller will be available from March the 22nd. We invite our customers to inform us in case of any interest for early orders. And in addition to this, I have to say that these products are all available already in January 2022 price list, apart from the binary input modules. So you will find in our price list the bridge and the fine call controller. And we will release an additional note very soon with regards to the binary input modules. But as I said before, if you have any requests, feel free to contact us. Okay, let's keep going. So far, we've looked at the outstanding novelty of the bridge and product extension for the HVAC controller and I/O actuators. Now, I'd like to introduce to the new activities. The journey of Eelectron webinars continue in 2022 with 2 more sessions dedicated to the innovation in our hospitality devotion and to the introduction of frames and accessories as a fundamental requirement to support the completion and the aesthetical coordination of your projects automated by Eelectron. Now, I'd like you to look at the animation of the product portfolio, simulating the evolving portfolio in different verticals, from the lighting control, blind management, and comfort, occupant-based, to the IP connectivity, up to the smart hotel management with optional tablet control and virtual badge applications, up to the cloud-based applications to enhance the user experience and the management of the smart offices with the wireless Bluetooth Low Energy autonomous solutions fully integrable with the KNX automation system as a guarantee for an accessible, scalable, and durable building automation management. In conclusion, I'd like to introduce the new technical catalog that is already available online, just updated with an increased number of pages, and more important, with an increased number of products. Now we're counting more than 130 products. Of course, follow us on our social networks and sign in on our Eelectron newsletter to be updated with all the marketing-related activities. Here, a general overview of the technical and sales documentation, the product technical catalog, the HMI design catalog, Otomo catalog, hospitality devotion brochure that will be soon updated, and our 4 folders leaflet. We continue with the marketing boxes available with the dummy devices or plug-in devices to show to your customer the aesthetic of the working products, and the technical demo case that is showing the hotel system fully operative, and the demo case more related to residential and offices related projects. For the customers who are interested to approach Eelectron, we offer with a special discount some kit for lab test or for quick showroom setup. You are invited to follow us on our social network, and in YouTube, I have to remind you that you can see all the past webinars in case you miss any of them, and you will be able to see all the technical trainings recorded and available on YouTube. Don't forget to scan the QR code in case you would like to meet any of Eelectron members with this special application, Meet the Company, where you can create a first-time contact. Let me end by thanking you for your attention. Stay connected and see you at the next webinar. Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye.